Hello and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your host Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel.
This
is a big one. That's right.
We say this when we're talking about like the Champions Edition and anniversary episodes. No. This is a big one.
Episode.
This is one of our first podcast things that we do that's hit a major milestone.
That's right. Yeah, this is a milestone episode. It's really weird.
And it's our topic one. Yeah. And we'll get into more of that like history aspect of it. Why this one hit it over the one that actually started the podcast.
That's right.
But this is a major milestone. You want to tell everybody why?
That's right. This is our number 100 Chits and Giggles episode. 100 episodes, man.
We found out that 2 of our podcasts are going to hit 100 episodes, so we'll have a special one for you at the end of the year as well, because that's another big one that we're going to talk about. It's spoiler alert, it's a top 8 debate, because it's the only other one that's been around as long as Chits and Giggles.
That's right. Yeah, so we thought today in our episode, we would just like kind of do a retrospective, right?
Yeah.
Talk about how the podcast got made, talk about a lot of the nitty-gritty, what we do,
the hiccups, why the technical difficulties,
and how we somehow still tolerate it 6 years.
6 years. We just pulled up some stuff over here and realized when we talk about like our anniversaries and stuff like that, we have the first episode. We're looking at it right now, so it's crazy that this all started because of the pandemic.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we'll get into that very soon. So again, if you are joining us live, if you're not, you really should. It's pretty awesome. Follow us on twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Right now, if you are following us live or you see this later, you see the header on the top, post your comments down below, how you discovered our channel, or questions if you have any, and we'll go over those if any come up.
Yeah, and as always, if you join us in the chat, leave us your questions in the chat. We'll be more than happy to answer them.
Yep.
When you finish your thought.
When I finish my thought. Yes. I'll do my best. But either way, Daniel, what have you been playing lately?
Oh, so this is also a Chits and Giggles episode, so we need our little opening segment. So the first thing I want to talk about here is, I'm actually kind of a little out of order here, but the first one I'm going to talk about is a game we played, I think, right after. Actually, let's talk about one I played on my cruise, which would make it a lot easier. The first game we played on my cruise, or one of the games we played, I just recently talked about it a couple episodes ago in the board game brainstorm of June. I went on a Disney cruise with my wife and some friends of ours and had a blast. The first game, or that one of the games that we played on the cruise, and we played a few, but we didn't want to play anything that's too heavy because there was drinking involved and stuff like that. But the one game I want to talk about, because it fit for what we were doing on that cruise, was Movie Night from Peter C. Hayward and All Play. It's a nice little, quick little card game that you're trying to come up with movies, and you're basically trying to get 5 distinct movie types based on categories that it includes and categories it doesn't include, and once you get that 5th film, you win the game. We played it 3 times over the cruise, and we always lost. We lost on that 5th turn because we couldn't think of because of that last thing that came up.
Something about that 5th one is so difficult.
Yeah, and so, but we played it with a caveat too. We played movie nights, but we couldn't only name Disney movies or Disney subsidiary movies.
Oh,
so
wow.
they did have like
that's crazy difficult mode.
Yeah. So we made it pretty darn difficult to us, and it was fun because we're just like, it had to do it in 5 minutes. It was a nice thing to do. Like if we were sitting at our table waiting for our food to come up, we talked about that on that podcast where we had to wait a lot, or just if we were sitting in our room, we're drinking wine, or they're drinking like hard liquor and stuff like that because they had a package where we can drink on the ship. And so I wasn't partaking. I had some wine, but that's about it. But I didn't want to teach like something like The Crew Mission Deep Sea, which is something I try to get played. But if I didn't want to teach a new game while everybody is not fully there, is the nice way to say it. But Movie Night was fantastic. Like I said, we did Disney movies, and everything came so close. It's like, oh, but it can't have "the" in the title, or it can't have A in the title, or it can't have the character's name in the title. And you're like, come on, we're right there. And we made it where you have to use with 5 distinct movies. We also try to make it where you can't really use the sequels unless it says otherwise.
Right.
Because it says one of the things is a sequel. Mm-hmm. So we try to put some nuances on it because it was fun to do Disney movies on a Disney cruise by playing this game. It went down well. We suck at it, but it was so good to do.
That's awesome. Speaking of silly riety games, the first game I wanted to talk about was a game called Pingo Pingo. That I picked
What'd you call me?
Yeah, you heard me. And well, I picked it up from my most recent trip over to Arizona, and this was it was actually a new game, but I got it used. It was still sealed, which is pretty awesome. Pingo Pingo is from Yellow, and this is a real-time kind of slap game, which I'm for. I like those kind of games. I know a lot of people don't. So, but this has a fun little twist. It's by Roberto Fraga, and it has a little dart gun. And because you put up little cardboard standees around the room, and you're listening to a 10-minute soundtrack, or 10 to 15-minute soundtrack, and it's going over the songs. It actually comes with a CD, which is great. It's going over the song, and during the tribal drums, it's considered daytime. When it calms down, it's considered nighttime. There are certain things where like these singers will sing "Pingo, Pingo," and that's when they cry out, and that might trigger different events. But as you're doing this, you're flipping over cards, and as you're flipping these cards over, you're waiting until a treasure pops up that matches the time frame. If like a treasure pops up and it's daytime and it's playing daytime music, you slap down. First one to get it gets it, and the most treasure wins. However, there's another catch to it. Some of the treasures have little hidden hazards on them, like little hidden spiders and stuff, like pictured like in the corner of it. It's like, and if you slap it, well, sorry, you actually discard a card, which is funny. Or you slap it if it's wrong, wrong time of day or whatever, right? So that's all fun. But then there's 5 other random little actions that might pop up where you might have to like run over to one of the bridge standees and run over to the other one to try and make a connection before it cries out or whatever. Or you lose this health, and if you lose all your health, you get eliminated. But then sometimes you'll be able to heal yourself by hitting one of the health things. First one to do that recovers a health. And then sometimes you'll take the little dart gun and try and shoot one of the little standees and knock him over. It's supposed to be really silly. It's supposed to be really funny. The only bad thing about it, though, is that I don't know what's up with my dart gun, but it clearly was not working very well because it would go pew. It's like land maybe 2 feet in front of you.
And so it's kind of like the catapult we were using, the Monty Python game.
It was pretty rough. Like we were totally fine with people basically just like walking up to the stand and shooting it point blank. It's like, because why not, right? It's about the only way you could do it. But it was silly. It was supposed to be silly. I have plenty of games that are like this, that are real-time absurdist games.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will stay in my collection just because I do have a few other games that probably do this better.
Gotcha.
But I very much enjoyed it.
All right.
Pingo Pingo.
Rude. All right, next game I'm going to talk about is one that you're okay with. You have fun playing it when we decide to bust it out, but it's not something you ever really care about. This one is something that both me and Dom love playing.
Oh, yeah. All right. No,
we busted out, played a couple games of it, because it's just like, it was right after the cruise, and it was my pick, and I'm like, I didn't want to learn much. I talked about it last week. We played Dark Pact, and that was such a heady deck building game, where I was like, you know what, let's just play something fun and dumb that doesn't cause a lot of like brain out of working on my brain. And we played Marvel United from Andre Chirivesio and Eric M. Lang and Simon Games. We played it twice. I love this game. It's in my top 100. In fact, it's like in my top 5. I think it's number 3 or 4 on my top 5. I haven't looked at that list in a while, so. But the thing I really did enjoy about this one is, even though it's a simpler game, and when you're playing expansions and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult. it's still a 50-50 for me winning this game. In fact, we played twice that night, and we lost one and won one.
Yep.
And I love the fact that we can work together trying to math how this is going to work and stuff like that. We played against Fing Fang Foom, which is one of the most recent expansions in Marvel Multiverse, which I liked. Is like this big giant creature. And I don't remember who we fought again in the second one, which we ended up winning, but just barely. We just mathed it out. We also played the smaller expansion that just came out, was like the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I think it's called The Witching Hour. And we used those characters against the Fing Fang Foom. We lost that one. Then we played one of the other ones, and Damn It Dom, I think, was like the Punisher, and he was blowing stuff up. And you were playing Nova. You're like, I'm going to stick with this character because I played it in the first game. I know how to play it, so I'm going to play this action now. Sure. I had a blast playing it. I know you are like, it's fine playing it.
It's fine.
It's not, a solid fun. Because it's also a superhero thing. It's not really your theme. I think it's also very thematic because you're basically playing out the comic book, and that's why it feels really cool to me. But we had a blast playing it. I enjoy this a lot. I like the fact that it's really quick turns. It's like, this happens, and then we're trying to math it out. I was like, okay, don't finish that off just yet. Do it where we could set you up to do these two things to finish it all off, and now we can go punch that guy in the face.
Idea?
Yeah.
I was like, hey guys, okay. So we completely knocked out like all of like the bad guys, and we got that. And then he was doing worse stuff to us all of a sudden and pulling 3 cards at a time. It was like, no, let's just fill this up. Then when we're ready, build up our stamina, boom, knock it all out, then murder death. And then
and it worked out in our favor. Yeah, it worked really well. It's like, okay, we had it all set up. I had stuff set up for you. I'm like, this is going to work for you because I'm going to throw my double wild out there. And now you could use whatever you need to do or stuff like that. But yeah, we had a blast doing it. I like some of the special abilities that these characters have. Marvel United is just a fantastic game. I can't wait to get DC United. Hopefully I get it, but all in all, it's still one of my favorite games to play. Especially when, after we're playing something like so heavy, and it's just like, I need something dumb to play afterwards.
Yeah. Speaking of something dumb to play, I played a game from Smirk and Dagger. It's one of their brand new games. It's called Blorp. Blorp is a tile laying game where you're putting together these strange, very like kind of grotesque creatures.
I was gonna
blorps.
I was gonna make a joke. That's your favorite character from Marvel United, but it's actually Dupe.
Dupe, yeah, Dupe is my favorite character. Yeah, so I mean, which cracks me up that he's a character. Anyway, but that's so Blorp. You have red, orange, or green blorps, or yellow, red, or green blorps, and they're on these tiles. Sometimes there may be 1 or 2 of them on a single tile, and it's standard tile laying, kind of like Carcassonne. If you put down one with a green blorp going this way, you have to put a green blorp piece going the same way, right? Yeah. And you're trying to connect them, making the biggest blorps. Whoever has the biggest of each blorp wins bonus points, but otherwise, your biggest of each of the 3 colors will score 2 points per tile. Otherwise, it's 1. Simple, pretty easy scoring.
There's some other
things like spores.
Competitive, what is that one from WizKids? The Blob Party.
No, it's more like you Carcassonne with your own map.
Okay.
And no meeples. Yeah, it's a standard puzzle game, but there are some fun illustrations on it. Like I said, they're very grotesque. There's eyeballs and mouths in weird places, and they communicate with trumpets, and they're very social creatures. These blorps, and if you get 2 trumpets that are facing each other, they are technically considered one blorp, even if they're different colors. Meaning, if I have a yellow blorp communicating to a green blorp through trumpets, and then that same green blorp communicating to another yellow one, those are one yellow blorp, and thus making a bigger area control. It's really weird.
Sounds really weird.
The designer of it is the artist, and the whole game just...
Ryan Lockett?
No, I know. No, the art is, like, I really like it. I can understand why...
But you like surrealist art.
Yeah, like, we'll pull it up later, and you'll see what I mean.
I've seen it, yeah, it was weird.
But then, like...
You know what it kind of reminds me of, the way you're describing it? Real Monsters, you remember that?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, that's a good example of it, yeah. Except even more grotesque.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's nothing offensive or anything. It's just, it's weird, right? It's kind of just like, you wouldn't want to see one of these in a dark alley or anything. But one of the cool things about it, though, is that dripping throughout there's a bunch of taglines where like, they just have, like, song titles, but replace, like, words with blorp. It's like, when the world blorp, or when you blorp, the world blorps with you, like, or, just different things. that quotes common pop culture or whatever, and then everybody let's get blorped, like all sorts of stuff, and it just really play into that. Like it's like, well, obviously everybody knows blorp. Why don't you know blorp? And I love it. It's so fun. So Smirk and Dagger really just they're bringing up some great stuff lately.
All right, the third game I'm going to talk about right before I go into the big last game I'm going to talk about is a smaller game that we've seen physically, but we haven't played physically. We just recently finished a game of this on Board Game Arena, and it makes me want to play it physically because I thought it was a very clever area control game.
Oh, yeah.
Area majority in this sense.
Yep.
This is Rumble Nation from Yogi Shinichi and Hobby Japan and Asmodee, I think is the one that's bringing it over here into the States. We played it, like I said, on Board Game Arena, and I love that it's like area majority with a twist. And it's just your choice of your action is either playing one of the 3 cards that are in front of you or as a group. So once I play that card, no one else can play it, but I can't play tactic cards at all the rest of the game. Or you roll the 3 dice and you trigger where you're going to put your characters. And it depends on the die number that you picked for how many characters you put on the board. And the other 2 dice are going to determine where you're going to place those characters. Mm-hmm. So a 5 and a 6 will allow you to put 3 characters. But if you roll on a 1 and 2, you're going to put them in space 3. Mm-hmm. However, if you pick that 6 and put 3 characters and you roll 2 5s, then you're putting that in stage 10. And what I like about it at the end of the game, you're going to trigger them based on the different areas. So lowest is first up to the highest.
Yep.
And so it behooves you to try to get into those lower areas because every time you finish an area, and I think if you win that area, you can move 2 of your characters into
connected areas that have your troops already there.
To have your troops, which allows you to have a little bit more into that area. So if he says he's got 1 more than me, then I push it in there, and now there's a tie in that location. Yes. Or so I'm not going to let him score that area. Right. Or if, say, we're tied right now, and I win the previous location, and I can move it in there, and now I have the most in there. And so if I go from the 2 to the 4, and then the 4 allows me to go into the 8 and the 6, so I love that cascading effect of it. I think that is such a clever design.
It is.
I really did have a great time playing this one. Again, we played it on Board Game Arena. We have seen the physical copy because you did give it to Gamehead Geek as a birthday gift, and it looked really cool. Yep. The component quality looks fantastic. But yeah, if I find this out in the wild for a relatively decent price, I'd pick it up for myself because this thing was such a fantastic game. Rumble Nation from Hobby Japan, Asmodee, and designer Yogi Shinichi.
Cool. Second to last one I want to talk about is now our go-to Catan game. This is Catan on the road. It's a card game. My wife likes Catan, and I do too. I don't dislike it. A lot of people give it a bad rep nowadays. It's like, I get it. Some people don't like the negotiation, the bluffing, whatever. Or
I
the
think it's just showing
allocation.
Its age.
Right. It's showing its age a bit. This is designed by the son of Klaus Teuber, Benjamin Teuber, and this is the newest one. It's a $10 card game. It advertises that it plays in 15 minutes. And so we're like, all right, well, let's test that out. We know Catan. We play it for 4 players, and as soon as we order food at a restaurant, we start playing. And we see how far we get. It's straight up 15 minutes. Like, really. And it plays quick, and it's engaging because you're constantly flooded with more and more and more cards. You're able to trade in easier. You're able to build this engine faster, and it's the first to 7 points. And it works really well. It has the same flavor as a standard Catan, but it's just our go-to one. My wife actually requests it now.
Nice.
Where it's like, hey, we're going out. Can you bring the Catan game? Sure, let me bring it. Because it worked, and I bought it for her hoping that it would be that case. And this is now our go-to Catan. It works incredibly well for what it's doing. If you're tired of the Catans, then, by all means, Illuminous, exactly. Catan, I don't know how I can say it, but it's definitely a recommendation that I can give for it.
Yeah, I'm just messing with Illuminous saying Settlers better. So he's like, because I think he grew up in Settlers of Catan kind of thing.
Course, sure.
I have never called it Settlers or Settlers of Catan. It's always been Catan for me.
Yeah, I was set loose. Yeah.
So, with that being said, the last game I'm going to talk about was the big game that I was mentioning. Is the fact that we played this one. This has been on G.A.M.E.R Dom's shelf for quite a while, and it's not even a board game that he brought in a box. He brought a tub over to my house to play this game. And honestly, I was very hesitant to this game. I was like, oh, okay. When we played it, I'm like, this is the right kind of dumb. This is the kind of thing where it's not going to be great, but it's going to be fun. And when we were setting it up, that was a game on its own. I'm talking about Heroescape. And please mind you, the designers that I have named here were the ones based on the main set we were playing.
Yes.
I know there is a plethora of designers out there, but this is just the ones I pulled off for the main set that we played, which is like Masters of Annihilation, which I think is like the first set. So, Heroescape, designed by Stephen Baker, Dan Blanchett, Rob Davio, Matt Him, Sarah Rowan, and Cruz Van Ness, and also published by Renegade Games. Oh my god. Perfect dudes on the map games. Some of these characters are super grotesque. There is a reference me and Gamehead Geek were talking about one of my characters because it was in Dungeon Crawl Carl, the book, and he's like, okay, I get what you're saying here. It's a little different, but it kind of just, that's what I was imagining that thing was on there. And it was fun to build. It was like, oh, we're doing this. Oh, now we're doing this one. You and me had trouble seeing the colors, so we had G.A.M.E.R Dom be like, okay, what are we doing here? You're having like the different levels. I was trying to go into all bug army, and then I got snaked with the last bugs by Gamehead Geek. He's like, I can't let you have all the bugs. Well, that's fine. I like the fact that I was actually
one of Dom's pirates.
You took one of Dom's pirates. I like the fact that when we were playing this game, I hid one of my bugs behind where you and Dom can't see it, and me and Gamehead Geek had come up with an alliance that says, I won't touch you, you don't touch me, kind of thing. And so he was giggling the whole time where you're like, oh, you guys, you're out of that character. I'm like, no, I have one right here. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Hiding it behind the level. You can't.
Seemed unfair. I'm just saying.
You could have stood up and see it.
Yeah, sure.
I also kept my queen in the back because she was able to do a fantastic aspect of it. How's it going, Darth Madre? Hey, Ray. But yeah, it is such a fun game. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not need to own this or any of the bits. Maybe, like Dom was saying,
so good.
I could pick up an army and I'll just play with my specific army. It is so insane how much this setup was and how much fun we had. Even though, and you had a gripe about this just recently where you're like, I'm tired of playing only one game a night.
No. Hold on.
No, but
that's different. No, my complaint was more like, I'm tired of reading hours of rules for one game. Like why play this big ol' heavy, big ol' epically heavy thing? That's not epically heavy. It's just, there's a lot of setup, there's a lot of toy factor, but really it's just like, all right, let's kill each other with dice now. And that was
funny.
That's very different.
I love the fact that I kept the queen in the back, and then when I started bringing her out, and you guys are like, you get to do 2 attacks? I'm like, yeah, this is what her thing says. If I attack once, I get to take an immediate actual attack, and you're like, oh, that's just wrong. But then there was other characters that were super. You had an airship that you were just dive bombing everybody.
Yeah, I was crash landing a giant Zeppelin, like a canvas bag Zeppelin. It was great.
We had a blast. So like I said, it's fantastic. I love it. I get why everybody enjoys it.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is, I'm glad Dom owns it, and I don't need to pick it up. Because if he wants to play it, or I was like, hey, Dom, bring Heroescape, and we can bust it out.
That's right.
Fantastic game.
And then, welcome Darth Madre. Thanks for joining us. And Illuminous, the new Quacks cover. But although I'm curious when somebody finally goes, oh yeah, it's like, I picked up Quacks from Quedlinburg. Oh wait, there's a different cover? There was an older, cartoonier color?
Yeah.
I'm curious when I'm going to meet that person. It'll be exciting.
Tell Malcolm I said hey.
And the last one that we have today that I want to talk about, is the big game. Speaking of me being tired of big games.
Exactly.
This is a Vital Lacerda game that I brought, and I bought it because we finally played Kanban, and the cool thing about it is that we liked Kanban a lot. And I was like, okay, I'm curious to see how he does a co-op. So this is CO2 Second Chance. This was a very heady game for one. There was a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of restrictions, although...
This is actually one of the most colorful games you've brought.
Right. It's pretty, considering it's like a big old dusty heavy Euro.
Pieces and...
Yeah. I mean, it's all abstracted, but like, what was your thoughts on it? Like...
I enjoyed the game. I think it was fantastically designed. It made sense. It was one of those heavy games that work. Like, it wasn't
it was
like...
a nail-biter, too.
It felt more streamlined than, say, something like a Tuskini or Luciano or any like those characters. But, man, this is one of the few games that we played that gave me a headache. Yes. I literally had to take some ibuprofen after we played it because my head was just pounding. Remember how I was talking about like how Marvel United, I needed to play something dumb? We needed to play some dumb games after that one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we played like, what, 2 little card games afterward or something?
Yeah, we played...
I'm not going to do anything bigger.
Yeah, Venturesome and Beach Bandits.
Venturesome and Beach Bandits. Yeah, it's just that... there was no reason to play anything more difficult.
Mind you, we got those 2 games in under an hour, where it took us all game night just to learn that first. Like it took us we played 2 games in the same amount of time it took us to learn CO2.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was gnarly. Like in the time that we learned it, full teach and play. Both other games.
Those other 2 games just took as long as the teach, because it took us about 45 minutes. Yeah, for the teach.
Yeah, but I mean, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. Yeah, and I get why people like it. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever gonna play it again. I'm glad I've done it. I'm ready to learn other ones like Weather Machine or On Mars or whatever. Like all the other Lacerdas that people are really enjoying. I'm willing to try those. They're not dripping with theme, but we've been playing Stefan Feld games lately. So at least this has a little more theme than that.
All right, before we get out of this, I do want to mention, you just mentioned it right now, we have been playing a lot of Stefan Feld stuff. Yep. If you go back on the YouTubes and that sort of thing, if you're listening to this, when we air it or put it for the podcast itself, we have been doing the Stefan Feld City Collection live on stream. The videos are going up on our YouTube channel as well. We're just intermittently dropping them. I think by 4th of July, we'll have the first 4 up. Okay. By the time this airs for our podcast listeners, we should have the first 6 up. Possibly the first 8. I don't know how I'm finagling that. But we've recorded the first 6. So we've been having a blast with it. And... it's kind of cool that we're doing this finally. We've been talking about it, and now they've released the 10th game as of right now. So, it's been cool to get them played.
Yeah, and now we'll just have to continue playing them afterward, right? And then, like, as soon as we get them, we just have to knock them out. So that way we could be continuous in our coverage. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Everyday board games, our Chits and Giggles topics, have now just hit 100 episodes.
Yeah, that's crazy. The fact that we've...
it's wild.
Published over 300, and I'm looking at 317 episodes with a couple of special episodes in between and stuff like that. We probably could have more if we didn't have a couple hiccups, and we'll go into that in a little bit on the thing, but 317 total episodes, 100 Chits and Giggles podcasts alone. Right. We're about to hit 100 on board game or top 8 debates. Yep. So we're in the 60s, I think, with breakdown. Probably 60s or 70s right now. So yeah, we're trucking along over 6 years.
It's been a big experience, right? And we have a somewhat successful podcast. I mean, we're not as big as like some of the big names, and that's fine. That's not what we're not aiming to be. We also can't be bought unless you want to buy us. Then we probably can. Throw enough money at us, we'll probably say whatever we want. But whatever you want.
In the words of an old wrestler, $1 Million Man, everybody has a price, and I know mine.
Yeah, that's true. He knows his. So we thought we would just go through retrospective. All of our episodes, and we're not going to go through talk about every episode because there's something we just don't remember much about. We're just going to talk about a little bit about how we got started, the episodes in general, some of our memes, like some of the stuff, some of the logistics of how we do what we do. Yeah. We thought that would be really interesting, like, the recording studio here,
Some questions to each other, that kind of thing.
So again, if you have questions and you're watching this live, post them down below. But let's talk about, like, us starting gaming, right?
Yeah, before that, let's do a little throwback here. We're doing it how we did the original style. We have some notes for ourselves, but we're winging it.
We're winging it, yeah. those first episodes were a little, little questionable.
This is gonna be fun. All right, how we got into gaming? It's all your fault, basically. Yep. So what happened when I got into gaming? You've been doing that for a while, so I'll let you go into that a little bit. I did do some board gaming back when I was younger and stuff like that. Got out of it when I really got into middle school and stuff like that. Got into comics and stuff. Sports really big was another thing, but I got back into it because of you. You were hosting the game nights, and you still do. You between a little year and a half breaks. Like a year break, but you were still doing it up in that area. Yep. But it was because of you. I actually went for a specific comic to the comic shop because they also have board games, and they weren't there. And you're doing your game nights, and you're like, "Hey, me and my wife had just gotten married. It was, I want to say like April 2014, somewhere around there." And you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this game night. Where you want to come over, where I could teach you some of these board games." And the wife was like, "Yeah, we were looking for stuff to do as a couple. Like I said, we were just recently married. Yeah. We were working different schedules. So I was morning shift and she was graveyards at the time. So we didn't really have a lot of time to spend. So in that time off, we could go to the game night because it used to be, I believe, a Thursday, and that was like I could do that till 9:00, and then I had to be at work at 7:30 or something like that, and then she'd be up by that time, so that's basically the start of her day, and we can go take care of that. So it was around April of that time, but we're like, no, we can't do that right now. But we'll come back next week probably. Yep. We have dinner plans, so we went and had dinner, and she's like, "Yeah, we really should do that." And that was the worst mistake of her life because it led to this. I really dug deep into that hobby. I used to be a big video gamer, and because of board games, I don't video game as much as I do. Yep. I don't buy a lot of video games as much as I used to before board games because the $60 I could spend on a board game ends up going over here, or on video games goes over here to the board game side of things. So so that's the main thing, is you were basically the problem.
I'm the problem. So my story starts a little bit before that, right? Because that was like one of the first game nights that I started. Yeah. And it was funny because I got into gaming, my family got me into it. I started getting a few games here and there. Actually, it was a good friend of mine. We call him Pez. And he was the one who really kind of got me into gaming. We started having like a friendly game night. We were hanging out. We were all just getting together like once a week and just playing games with some of our mutual friends and stuff. Because him and we used to perform magic together, and we were a duo team doing a bunch of different shows and whatnot. But we also had this mutual enjoyment of board games and stuff, and we were okay like playing just absolutely awful games and that was kind of like the fun of it, right? It's like, let's just see like how the worse the game was, the funner it was, the more enjoyable, because it's so ridiculous. And then and I started watching as Lumina said in the chat, a lot of Will Wheaton's tabletop, that YouTube that started getting bigger and bigger, and I started getting into some of these games, like, okay, this is kind of cool. And I remember the owner of our local store, his son-in-law, him and I worked together at one of my first jobs. And, so he knew me. And then when they started branching into board games, they're like, "Hey, do we know anybody who can actually
son-in-law? Stepson.
Stepson.
Yeah.
No, son-in-law. Stepson? I don't know.
It's stepson because it's his wife's child.
His wife's son. Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, not son. Yeah. Whatever. I don't know how all that works. Anyway, so, but he knew that I was a gamer because of us working together, and I was already getting into games. So when the store started getting games in, they're like, "Hey, we need somebody who actually knows like what they're doing in games. Like, do you know anybody?" And then he recommended me. So I went in there, started talking about it. He was like, "Do you think you could do like games and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, probably. Let's give it a shot." And then so I started doing game nights. And it must have been somewhat successful because it's been going for 12 years now. Who knows how long it'll last? I don't know, but...
Honestly, it went through 12 years. Even with you gone, one of our friends took it over who still works for the gaming company. Or
that store, yeah. Yeah, a good friend of mine. I'm just going to say who it is. It's Triune. They manage the other store in a city over from us. Well, they had their own channel, which, by the way, they stream on Twitch, so go watch them play video games. They're just... they're just good people, and they became good friends of mine, and we started talking more games, and then that got us into, they always wanted to make content. Yeah. And so they started making like a whole like
Play
YouTube
kind of
channel,
thing,
like a Let's Play kind of thing. And I was doing like some reviews. I'm like, okay, I will. And then through the store, we started doing like top 10 lists or whatever of different people, different designers, and all those. That's where it became like the meme that every game is a deck builder if you think about it hard enough, And then I had a spin-off show that we called Bottom Shelf.
And I've been on both of those shows.
And you've been on both of those. And the idea is that we played literally the worst games that I can find.
To the point where there's lost episodes where he literally makes my wife cry.
Yeah. I feel a little bad. I have the footage still. I might have to throw those now that I have a computer that can actually edit
do it,
those.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
But so we have those old Bottom Shelf videos, and then my favorite part was that the winner got to flip the board. And I love that. That's such a victory thing. So that was just our side gig. But then, so I was pretty used to like doing video review and all that stuff. And then I met you, right? Yeah. And so we started playing games more. We got a game group together.
Well, it's funny. I want to get into that. Because of you is how our game group came about. Yeah. Because of this teaching. And it's funny, he talks about it like when he's talking about teaching games, is like that happens every time. He's like on the 10th cycle right now or something like that.
Yeah.
We get a group going, we break off from the thing. So I haven't been to like game night at the shop for quite a while because I've been playing with my game group.
Yeah.
And then I branched off and had another game group, and it's just it grew ever since, but we still game. Some of my best friends have come from game night. I met my friend Angel and Maria from my other game group through you because of because Gamehead Geek had brought Angel to one of the game nights, and him and me hit it off because we're both Tennessee Titan fans.
Yeah.
And so we had a good time on that one, and it just branched off, and we made our own group, and we still game with Gamehead Geek.
Yep.
And because of you, we met Dam and Dom because you met him through the game nights,
yep.
And then he started going over to your game group, and then you're like, "Hey, I know this guy. You want him? We need another player. Do you want me to start bringing him or inviting him?"
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and so we started doing that, and it turned into its own meme, which we'll get into in a little bit. So yeah, it's like we just kept breaking off into this group, and now we have our core group because of game nights at Z Comics.
Exactly, which is awesome, and that was such a cool start to it. But then, of course, as we're going on, we're having this game group. You went through you went through a move. Gamehead Geek moved.
I went through two moves.
I moved twice. I moved out of town, then moved back into town. So that's been quite a big thing, you know. So getting games consistent was kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
It was like that was a hard thing to do, moving all these games.
Oh, yeah. I went through two moves. Remember, because I started in a 1-bedroom apartment when I moved back to Cruces because I was living in a different location. It's called Chaparral. It's about 15 minutes out of El Paso, Texas, which is about 30 or so minutes from here.
Yep.
I was living there, and then I moved back to Cruces because I was working at the local hospital here. And that's when I got into gaming. I had recently just got married too. So me and my wife were living in that 1-bedroom apartment. We moved into our condo at the time. That's when you and me started up this podcast. So if you go look at those old episodes, that what's behind me was my old place there. I had an office, and then I had a thing. And then the office was really where I was able to move into there because my brother-in-law had moved out. But we mostly filmed especially when we did it together, we filmed in my kitchen, and then I moved into this house. So there has been a couple moves. You moved to a whole entire city.
Yeah, totally different city.
And you had a ridiculous collection even then.
Yeah. My collection then was about what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just went over to Gamehead Geek's house last week, and I was talking with his wife, and she was saying, she was like, his game collection is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, that's all right. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, he has probably like the third biggest out of all of us. Like, there's only like one of us four that has a smaller collection.
And it's like, between
really?
Him
I'm like, yeah.
It's between him and me now.
Yeah, you two
I've caught up.
Yeah, but he has bigger games.
Oh,
that's the thing. Yeah. He has much bigger. So, like, every one of these boxes is a big box for him, right?
Yeah.
So he takes up more room.
Yeah.
He takes up almost as much space as I do, but I have a fraction of the size. So, like, I get that, but like, I was telling her, it's like, I'm sorry I got everybody into this hobby, and it cracks me up knowing that out of just us four, there's thousands of games.
Here's what's funny. At one point, before my collection really grew, and before Gamehead Geeks grew massively, the three of us didn't even touch your stuff. No.
Well, I mean, I didn't hit that was probably about when I hit 100 games or so, right when we all got together.
Yeah.
Right, started meeting, and I had 2 shelves in my garage, or a shelf and a half in my garage. That's what I had.
Yeah.
But no, and originally at the old house, it used to just be my laundry area. That I just had a cabinet in there, and it was whatever would fit in there.
Yeah.
Wow, how times have changed.
Well, exactly. I only was allowed 100 games because I only had one shelf.
Exactly. Well, then you just, after you stop, once you hit 100, just stop counting, and then you'll never know how many games
Well, no, I was only allowed to fill one shelf. That was the thing, because we had limited space in my old place. When I got this room, that's when my collection exploded.
I know. We have our own dedicated rooms now. It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign, y'all. But anyway, I'm sorry I got us all into that. But let's talk a few years later, right? We started... we're already in the groove. We're playing the games. We're having fun.
And gone through a couple legacies.
Yeah, gone through a couple legacies. Now, before that happened, I started going to conventions through the local store.
Yep.
I started going to the G.A.M.E.R Expo, which was the G.A.M.E trade show at the originally.
Yeah.
And through those conventions, listeners of the podcast know that I do game design. I was trying to pitch, and I was meeting a lot of publishers and just meeting new people that I really enjoy just being around. And I had gone to 2 different conventions. I've gone to G.A.M.E at that time about 3 times, about 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yep. With
Triune, yep. A number of those years. Actually, maybe more like 5 or 6. And then I had also gone to a local gaming convention in Tucson called RinCon. That was one that I would go to from time to time. And then I finally went to Origins in 2019.
We also did a local one here in El Paso. They did it for 3 years.
Yep.
1 year was at this weird archaeological place.
Yeah.
The next year was at I believe this was right before COVID hit. It was 2019 or 2020. Yep. It was at UTEP, which is the University of Texas El Paso. Yep. And then the third one was at Tobin Park in El Paso. Yep. It was the 3 mustache. Yeah, the 3 mustache mountain.
3 Wizards of the Mustache.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So we did 3 of those as a group too. So
we've been to a couple conventions here and there, but then one big life event happened.
We kind of mentioned it.
Take your guesses in the comments below. Ready for it? Yeah. Everyone knows what happened in 2020. Yep. That was right after I got back from G.A.M.E too.
And it's funny because in 2019, when you did Origins, me, Gamehead Geek, and my friend Angel that I was talking about, we went to Dice Tower West. The first time it got branded as Dice Tower West. Yes. It did that summer. So, yeah, we did cons beforehand, before we started doing it as a group.
And Lewis comment, they're going, what happened in 2020? I was just like, yeah, there was this thing called COVID or something, like the lockdowns. And when that happened, so everyone was like, oh, well, now we just have to be at home all day, and not go anywhere. And I had already, I was already not working at the time. I was in between jobs. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I want to do something with gaming. Got to do something.
And let's make mention that you and me have been talking about doing a podcast at one point.
We started talking about it, yeah. And then it was just kind of up in the air. And I started just going, okay, you know what? I'm just going to start streaming every day. I'm going to start playing games. We'll do one player. I have a big old collection. Let me put up a table, put up a streaming. I'll learn some rules. I'll play Let's Plays by myself, Maybe I'll even do I don't know, rules teaches, whatever.
And this is before Board Game Arena really got as big as it was. So they didn't have a lot of stuff over there. So if you were playing online, it was some games on Board Game Arena and some games on Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, all right, I'll just start streaming and see what happens, right? And then about 2 weeks go by. I'm like, yeah, I'm boring. And I'm okay with that. It's but how exciting can it be? It's somebody's just literally just playing the game. I was sitting there, Creative Chaos, who's one of our moderators, they started joining me, chatting, because they're a friend of mine, and we're just chatting, playing games. Sometimes we would play games online, where I'd be like, all right, you tell me how you want to make your move, and I'll make the move for you.
And I played a couple with you. I think we played the original, or the Uber Play version, or the Fantasy Flight of Raw,
Yep, we did a few of those. So I was trying my best to keep gaming happening.
Yeah.
And then you brought up, you're like, hey, we're talking about this.
We're both stuck at home. We could just do it over Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the inception of Everyday Board Games.
In a sense, because when we're talking about it, your whole goal of doing a podcast is like, I don't want to do something that everybody did.
Right.
And so we're trying to come up with a concept. He's like, why don't we just do a football bracket kind of thing? I'm like, that can work. And then we were trying to come up with names, and we came up with, we're going to be debating and stuff like that. So we came up with the top 8 debate. We did an 8 bracket. We came up with the concept of the reseeding and stuff like that, is where the one always faces the lowest seed, that kind of thing. And we had a general idea of it. It took us a couple weeks before we triggered it down, and I think we recorded the first episode in March, but it took me a little bit to edit the episodes and stuff like that, because I had to teach myself to edit, and so I was using like the jankiest editor. In fact, I barely started really doing better with editing about a couple years ago. I think after the only G.A.M.E.R we did in Louisville, because I think I was using like Microsoft Movie Editor or something like that. And it was like, and I got better. I started using Canva and stuff like that, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But we came up with the concept of top 8 debate. But I'm like, I still want to do something like a normal topic podcast, because arguing all the time, I'm not really getting the creative, like, I want to talk games. We're just arguing games.
Right.
So that's when we came up with the Chits and Giggles topic as well.
Yeah. We wanted something to actually talk about, not just like fight about the games, but like let's have a discussion topic, and like not just like reviews or anything. But we want to have like, so I've always been a fan of just like, oh well, like if board games were people, what could, like whatever, right?
Yeah,
some weird topic.
You wanted to do like some esoteric topics. Now we do like our basic topics, like our favorite game that we played out of the last year of the podcast, like our anniversaries and stuff like that. But then I'm looking at our list here. So the first basic thing we did for top 8 debate was we did 3 episodes of top 8 debates before we went into Chits and Giggles topics and stuff like that. We did the top 8 debate of worker placement games, campaign games, and party games. So we did 3 different top 8 debates.
And those were all within like a few days of each other. It started April 27th was our first release of our first episode. April 29th, May 3rd, and then finally May 4th was the first Chits and Giggles episode.
And I bet all of these were probably recorded in late March, early April.
Yes.
But again, I was teaching myself to edit and stuff like that, so it took a little while for these
and
to
we also put them on YouTube before we did Podbean, which is what we use now.
Yeah. No, we had both at the time.
Oh, did we?
I did the video editing, then I just ripped the audio and throw it up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that we did those, but you could tell from that time frame to where we are at now how much we've gotten better.
Yeah, and the thing is, the first thing that we used to do, and this was the worst part about our top 8 debate, is that we would just take the top 8.
Even though we've never played them.
And some which we didn't play.
The top 8 debate, at least one person had to play it. We didn't have it where it was both people playing
So we were trying to convince each other.
Yeah,
that was something, and just because of how many games I've played, and a lot of times you were just like saying there, like, okay, sure, I don't believe you, but sure, whatever.
And a big thing about it too, we didn't have the G.A.M.E.R criteria either. Right. So just talking about these, I do love the first episode of Chits and Giggles, the most influential board games outside of gaming, and we're talking stuff like Wingspan and Catan and stuff like that, where there's like news articles and stuff like that. So that's what we're talking about when we did esoteric topics and stuff like that. But the top 8 debates, it's always, we go to Board Game Geek, we give the top 8 list. We now do polls on Facebook to help alleviate ties and stuff like that. But we've come up with the G.A.M.E.R criteria. We've really come into our own as we were going through the ages. Any episodes you see here that really talk to you?
Well, I'll just go ahead and reiterate them, by the way, your session is going to expire.
Yep, I fix it.
All right, so first episode, most influential board games outside of gaming. I remember, like, I was of the mind where it's like, I want to talk about games that, like, people who don't game know about, right? And then I remember there was a lot, like, my wife is really into Big Bang Theory. They were doing product placement for like Dominion and Arctic Scavenger and like weird stuff.
They were playing Ticket to Ride at one point and Catan at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's wild, And then we went to the next, we went top 8 debate, deck, bag, pool builders, which that could be a whole new thing now.
Yeah. And we're starting to
Second
revisit
episode.
some of those. We revisited one last year, the very first one, worker placement games.
Yep.
Where, spoiler alert, we're doing another one this year. We're going to do the top 8 debate horror games in October for our Halloween session.
That's right. So then we had games that need reprints, best games for traveling, top IP games, which you loved that episode.
Oh, yeah, we had a blast doing that
Yeah.
one. And we split it within 2 because we did off novels, and then there's another one where we did movies, TV show, and radio. And then the winners of those went head-to-head against each other. Right. And so, yeah, it had some interesting... I wouldn't mind revisiting that one, too, especially since there's a lot more games that deal with IPs now.
Exactly. And then finally, a month later, after that, May 29th, 2020, we did our first board game breakdown episode, breaking down Phil Walker Harding games.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe that was only a month after that.
Yeah, it's getting a lot crazier over here. We're not going to go through everything.
No.
We did another breakdown of Prospero Hall, so we're just picking stuff that we really do enjoy.
Yep. Although I want to bring up this one, right? Our June 10th,
interview.
2020, our very first interview, which our friends from Level 99 Games, Brad Talton, Josh Van Lanningham, they're great people. They're wonderful. We always say that every time we bring up their games. We love them. They're friends of the podcast. And there's a reason we're doing that.
The next one I want to talk about is our longest episode, I think, to date.
Oh, yeah, probably so.
With Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter Games, Kurt Covert. I think this is well over 3 hours.
Yeah, and we need to bring him back on.
Yeah, because Kurt can talk.
He can talk, and we love him for it. He's
a
great personality. People in the whole field love it. And then,
follow that up with another long one.
Yeah, crowdfunding games. And we started talking about crowdfunding games, what factors are needed.
Yeah.
Then we had Fireside Games, Justin DeWitt.
And here comes one of my favorite ones. During the pandemic era, you and me had to quarantine, got together, recorded this one together, and went back into quarantine afterwards because this was a massive podcast for us to record. Yep. It's still one of our best YouTube episodes, not our best podcast. We'll get to that in a little bit. But this was the breakdown of Stonemaier games that was shouted out by Jamie Stegmaier. In fact, it just hit on my memories on Facebook.
Oh, nice.
Where he shouted out when we interviewed Jamie Stegmaier. Yeah. And so we did the interview first because we only had a certain a lot of time. And then we broke down the entire gaming aspect of it, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, and it was cool. And thanks again to Jamie Stegmaier, for... a guy who is way well regarded in the industry. Yeah. Giving us time and day to meet with us for it was 30 minutes, and that was very well commendable. The fact that he did that.
Yeah, and so this is all the stuff that we did in 2020. Yeah. This had 700 views. I think on YouTube.
Pumping out episodes almost every 3 days.
And so especially because we don't want to talk about too much of our past. Another one I do want to bring up is we talked with Keith Mateka of Thunderworks Games. Yep.
And a shout out to his wife too. Claire Mateka is one of the. Yeah, they're just the coolest people.
Yeah, you actually had when we went to the Louisville. Expo.
Yeah, she did me a favor. She had never met me before, but she did me a big favor and helped bring one of my prototypes. Yeah,
together. Prototypes from Game Crafter.
It's
so
wow.
Want a big shout out to them as well. But we're going over a little bit too much of our episodes before we get into the rest of the podcast. So I just want to get through here. There is one episode that I am kind of ashamed with right now. Mm-hmm. I may delist it on YouTube. I'm going to leave it up on the audio side. But we do need to talk about the bad of our podcast, and this one. And it wasn't really bad per se. Kevin Wilson himself had a lot of issues with his audio. We had some technical difficulties on our side as well. We did release the episode because it's just one of those things that needed to be released.
Yeah. We didn't want to waste the time and do it again.
Yeah, it was just a rough episode.
Right. Let's talk about our first meme, our ongoing joke that we ever had. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Yeah.
Oh man, my God, that was not because at that time everyone was using webcam. Yeah. Everyone was working remotely. Everyone was using millions of gigs of data, that, and we were trying to be part of that.
Yeah,
we had so much trouble trying to get a consistent signal, it became an ongoing joke every time.
And a lot of
halfway
times
through
too,
our episodes, like, sorry guys, we have technical difficulties. It wouldn't be an episode if we didn't have one.
When we were streaming it as well,
Yep.
a lot of these recordings that we had a lot of those technical difficulties was during our monsoon season, which just messes with everything up with the lightning storms and stuff like that, electricity. So yeah, that was a big thing about us in 2020. It probably took about 2 or 3 years before we really started hitting our stride, where we came up with the G.A.M.E.R criteria, refine the G.A.M.E.R criteria.
That's
realized it's spelled G.A.M.E.R.
That was the best part. It first started off like, hey, we need a reason. Like, we're just arguing these points, we're just like, nope. Like the biggest pet peeve in this whole episode and all of everything that we do is like, no, I can't let you have that.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm not trying to convince you. I'm stating my opinion. No, can't let you have that. It's like, no. But so we had to find an unbiased way to do this, and we came up with criteria. We spent weeks doing this. We're like, hey, we really want to make sure that we have this
and they got refined more and more. We took stuff out, like Game Immersion used to talk about the immersiveness of the game, how it fits the mechanism.
The themes match mechanism was one of them.
We took that out, and now is the game fun to lose? Because if a game is really good thematic, but you're not having fun, is it really immersive? Because a lot of times when you're not having fun, you're taken out of the game no matter how good the theme is.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we spent a lot of time refining these things.
And it wasn't until about 2 years, like we had all 5 criteria, we had all of the 3 sub-criteria, and then like 2 years ago we realized it's spelled G.A.M.E.R.
Yeah. We were like, we came up with this topics and we're doing this, and it's like, wait a minute here.
We're 4 years in and we're like, wait a minute, like the spell's G.A.M.E.R. You know that, right? What?
Yeah, so another big thing too, we came up with the G.A.M.E.R criteria. We refined everything that we've done. There were some hiccups. We talked about the technical difficulties because we always had a little bit of trouble streaming. Yeah. Both of us lost our fathers during the time of recording. You lost your father, I believe, in 2020. Yep. So there was a long stretch where we didn't record.
Sure.
Then I lost my father in 2021 because the Daniels just have to keep following suit for some reason. I lost my father in 2021, so there was a big stretch where we didn't record anything. Yep. And so there was some hiccups where we missed times. That's why I said there's possibility we could have had more episodes. But we were both grieving at certain point in times. Yeah. What I have to say, though, one of the things about these podcasts, too, is that it made us closer. We became better friends. We became closer. Like game night, we were already really good friends, but the fact that we spend 2 to 3...
Yeah, we wouldn't have spent time outside of our game night. Yeah. That was just an excuse for, like, all right, there's another gamer. Like, it makes the game more fun.
Nowadays, I see you twice a week. I almost see you sometimes more than my wife at times because of her travel job and stuff like that. And so she like, oh, your work wife's coming over.
And we now know how we travel together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do Bookman's trades in Arizona.
We've done, because of that, we've started doing a lot of Bookman runs together, going to Arizona. Yep. We've done a lot more cons together. We're doing a big one later this year. In fact, when you hear this is about 2 to 3 weeks before we leave for Gen Con. Yep. So we've done Board Game Geek Con. We've done Gamma Trade Show, Gamma Expo. We've done both because it was the trade show when it was in Reno, and it was the expo when it was in Louisville.
Yep.
So we've done that. We've done Board Game Geek Con in Dallas. We're doing Gen Con in Indianapolis. We're thinking about doing another one maybe the following year. Maybe I want to maybe say like KublaCon or something like that. Stuff that we're looking into. It all depends on your schedule.
It all depends on a number of factors.
That's another reasons why we couldn't go to Gen Con the last couple of years because they moved it off your spring break because you are an educator. But it's made us closer as friends, almost to the point where we nitpick at each other all the time. But we have good times. We've gone really, really good on our podcast and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite episodes. I'm just looking at it here. The top 8 games made in the last century, and we did 1900 and 1999.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the one below it, like our longest unplayed games. I want to go back and listen to that and see like
stuff
if there's anybody still.
If it's still on the shelf.
There might be. There might be a couple in there.
But I don't want to do that because I have to listen to myself. And
right.
I already hear enough of it when I'm doing the podcast, editing and stuff like that.
That's right. So let's talk about some of like our ongoing memes that we have in our episodes. First off, the Coin of Doom. This I want to point this out. Like I started talking about this one. This one I think there's another one that I actually realized what it is. It's like a poker chip that has like a little 8-bit character on it. It's on my 8-bit games. That's somewhere in here in the amidst here. But I want to show this to the camera. This is Retro Game Series. It's from Gatwick Games. They gave this to me at Gen Con.
No.
G.A.M.E.R. At G.A.M.E.R, like one of the first ones I've ever went to. It has this big old giant dragon head on the front here. And this was our first Coin of Doom. Other than like, I would always have change on me, right? Yeah. You know, we would always like flip a quarter or something. But I was like, all right, we need an official Coin of Doom. This was the first one. And now, like, well, go ahead and talk about your Coin of Doom.
I got the Cup of Doom over here. This is not the original. We used to use my old Zumanity mug because the wife dropped it on the edge and it cracked right here. So I was like, I just had it on my desk. We used it as a thing because me and the wife like going to see Cirque du Soleil in Vegas. So I had a Cup of Doom, and I would pull sticky notes out of the Cup of Doom, and I still do. That's our trademark. And so I got this one. This was a Halloween decoration. It's a whole old Harry Potter cup, and this is just perfect for the Cup of Doom because it says Most More Day.
And now here's all of our Coins of Dooms that we just have actively sitting on the side here. We have one from Frosthaven, Return to Dark Tower, the Baton Death March, Unmatched, Gatwick Games still. This one is Final Girl. We have another one from, what is this? Froglet Games. It's a little Froglet poker chip. And then we have this one that has a skull and like a pirate ship on the back, which I don't remember what this game is from, but...
And we're actually missing one of them, because there should be a second one from Final Girl.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere around here, but maybe on the floor somewhere.
Somewhere, yep.
One of these days we will uncover it during our archaeological dig. And
yeah.
You never know. And so that was some of the things that we had.
Damn It Dom is another meme, because that's one of our favorite... That's also like our game group thing, because it's just a common thing that we hear. When he brings a game and we're like, damn it, Dom, I didn't need to buy another game.
Yeah, we've coined that term where it's like, you know, like if one of us brings a game that everyone else is like, now I got to go buy this. This is great. Like Hot Streak was one recently that I did for everybody. Hot Streak
was one.
Concordia was one that I did for you guys. Like
I'm trying to think of another one. I know I did one for you guys as well.
And I'm not including like the old stuff like Castles of Burgundy and like all the old.
Oh yeah, but that's just stuff that was the game shop, all right.
Yeah.
But there was a couple that I've gotten, like both Gamehead Geek and Dom were like, damn it, Daniel, now I need to go look for this one.
Exactly.
I was like, yes.
And then also, once done about the...
Oh, yeah. I did a 2021 right before my father passed away. In fact, I was on that trip when he passed away. I ended up getting a lightsaber because me and the wife did Disney World trip together because she had to do something for her MRI thing. And so we're like, we're in Orlando. Let's just go to Universal Studios. Let's just go to Disney World. We only did Hollywood Studios at the time. That's where I got my lightsaber. And at one point, we were just joking around. I'm like, I had it within my grasp. I'm like, don't make me get the lightsaber. I will beat you with it. And it's a whole story. In fact, one of our episodes ends with me coming at him with the lightsaber and then cuts off while he's flinching out of the way.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I almost forgot to show this Coin of Doom. If you notice how big this is actually a custom design. I have our logo in the middle.
He's not allowed to use it anymore.
Yeah, it's terribly unbalanced and it's terribly made, but it was 3D printed. It's this fun little thing. It doesn't even balance properly. You know? It's fun, but it's a fun little device that we have. And then
don't forget the clipboards.
The clipboards, yep. We designed the logo that we started using on all the podcasts because we needed a logo for Apple iTunes.
Yeah, we needed a decent logo that fit a certain size, so we had to put it for Apple iTunes.
Yep. And then tell them about this.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a couple things. This right here is the. Is this the big one? Oh, this is the big one. This is the big notebook, which has everything we've done. All the stuff that goes on the clipboard goes into the smaller notebook, but this is the one that is all our past. So it's stuff where we can easily review nowadays. We technically call this one the Bible now because this is what it is now. This is basically our past. Then there's a smaller one here, which I empty out every couple years, and this is what I keep track of everything.
Mhm.
Everything in here for every top 8 debate winner is in this book, and it stays in this book. Every Ascended game, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, is in this book. This way, we know what we're not allowed to argue anymore. There is a total of 6 Ascended games. We're working on our 7th one right now. Getting close to have a fully list of Ascended games.
That's right. And so, like, these clipboards, these aren't just for show, right? We actually write down our show notes. We talk about all the different things. I showed it real quick, but I don't think you can even read it. It's too washed out. But, like, we use this, and we actually keep an active log as we've been doing this. It's kind of ridiculous. We could look back at that and see all my terrible handwriting and see all the notes that we made throughout the episodes.
Things we've talked about that we played. So there's times where, like, have I talked about this game? And I bust one of these out and they're like, yeah, you talked about it here.
Well, what are some of our other inside jokes? I actually know one. It's hard to know, but behind this shelf, and I forget this, there is a full window outside.
It's right over there.
You would never know that if you didn't know it already, because you can't see through this. However, we have a couple mascots that like to make some noise right outside this window.
Behind that door.
Tell them about them.
It's funny, because it used to be your window when we streamed. Your pugs used to bark outside, and now my dogs, because they're right over here is the side yard that they could bark. So she'll go from over on that end and chase whoever's walking by our house and bark over here, to the point where I have to lock her in this side of the fence. We have a little baby gate that locks the dogs out if we don't want them in the back.
That's right.
And so we have to lock it with her over here, and she gets a treat out of it, so she's not upset. But the other one is a chicken. So sometimes you'll hear him oofing outside my door to set her off to go do something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's...
And if you ever watch our streams, every now and then they actually pop up on the stream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and afterward, during the after show, we normally invite them in, let them hang out for a bit. It's great. All right. Well, one of the things that we referenced earlier is that we do interviews. We've done countless episodes of interviews. We've done one with John D. Clare, Kevin Wilson, Rob Davio. And a whole bunch of others that I'm neglecting to do. Daniel Solis.
Danielle Reynolds.
Yep. And we could go through them. We'll look through them later on, but the full thing is on like Podbean and wherever you get
our YouTube
episodes. Those are some of our favorite episodes.
Any of the board game breakdowns, all the interviews are in that one, because we go through their catalog.
Now, we decided, at least I decided, I think this is a fun idea, that we would interview each other for the first time ever during this episode. Well, of course, during this episode, but ever in any of our episodes, because we've done interviews.
We've asked questions to each other and stuff like that.
But we've never actually done an interview. So, you ready to do that?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm gonna flip the coin of doom to see who gets the first question. Here we go. And why not go with the original?
Sometimes, if you want to, answer your own question after you hear our answer. There's some stuff that I want to answer.
All right. I'll start us off. So, Daniel.
Yes, Daniel.
If either of us had to be replaced for one reason, life event, whatever, who would you want it to replace, either you or I, and why? It can be anybody in the board game industry. It can be anybody that we know, or it can even be a fictional person.
I'm actually this is gonna be an easy one. And the only reason I'm picking this person is because they have social media training, in a sense, that they're familiar with it. As much as I love G.A.M.E.R Dom, and I think he would make a great co-host after a while, I think Gamehead Geek has already got that flow with either of us when it comes to doing discussion topics. In fact, he's actually helped me on a couple podcasts that you've had to miss. So has G.A.M.E.R Dom, but his flow is just a little bit better because of his TikTok experience. And so I would say Gamehead Geek would have to be my choice for replacing this.
Okay.
And you?
Oh, jeez. No, this question is for you. So.
Okay.
All right, so that's fine. We'll come. If you end up asking me that, then we'll talk.
So, the first thing I want to ask you is something simple. Out of the last 6 years, what is the game that stood out to you most when we started this podcast?
Return to Dark Tower. Yeah, without a doubt. Return to Dark Tower. Because that is not my style of game.
Yeah.
I don't like dungeon crawls that much.
I mean, not really a dungeon crawl, but
it kind of is, right?
Sort of.
You know, like kind of. I mean, dungeon.
You
crawl
have some dungeon
adjacent,
crawling aspect into
yeah,
it.
sure, yeah, and like the fantasy, like being like we played Mansions of Madness back in the day, and I liked it, but I'm like, okay, you know, I don't need to own it, you know, and a lot of like the campaign games, like, all right, cool, you know, whatever, and I'm still like, I don't want the giant grandiose games. I'm fine with elegant, simple. Like I don't need to spend $300 on a Kickstarter just to feel like I have a game, because then I feel like I have to justify having that game. That is easily like the one that like that was on my list for the longest time that I needed to buy. And I probably spent about 3 years until I finally bought it. Finally. It took forever. But that was because of this, because of you guys, I would never have touched that game.
So my answer to this, and I am going to answer this one just for the simple fact that most of the time when you bring dry, dusty Euros, they're not the most thematic.
Nope,
or
not even close.
The great. So the one that really stands out for me, it's not my favorite that we played in the last 6 years, but the one that really stood for me is Obsession.
Oh,
I can't believe how much I actually really do enjoy that game. It's
Obsession
like really
no right
Pride and Prejudice. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of theme. Downtown
I care zero about that. Yeah.
But it is one of the blandest looking games you've ever brought. Now, you've brought some bad games.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it. There's a whole other meme in our game group where we joke about the fact that you brought Frederica's to us.
Yes.
But we played Obsession, and to the point where it's like, okay, I have to pick that one up because it triggers really well.
Yep.
My wife would enjoy that theme because she's a huge Pride and Prejudice fan.
Yep.
And I was shocked how much I actually really enjoyed Obsession. It is a fantastic game.
Yeah. It's really, really quite surprising. Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about our other mascot. Is he sitting around somewhere?
He's up there.
There he is. There he is. Yeah, those little. I just remember that right now. It's like we're gonna talk about that. And we're gonna talk about Ascended games.
Yeah, we'll talk about Ascended here in a minute. Cool. But those two are just hilarious because they're stuff that came in the Kickstarter that I did for Thunderworks games, and they just became fun to us, having to try and hide them in the background every now and then.
Exactly. So a little bit behind the scenes. All right, question number 2. You ready?
Yep. All right,
still with me again. Okay, what's our next convention that we've never been to before?
The next convention that we've never been to is the next convention we've never been to. I honestly don't know.
That one. Not even that one. Not even Gen Con, because
we're
planning it. After that, what are we doing?
I honestly don't know. There's a couple things I want to look at. We can make our own. It's something still in the works that we're talking about. But the main thing I want to do is I want to do something that is much easier to drive through. I can't handle these 2-day drives to get to certain things.
Because we have our longest one coming up yet.
Oh yeah, this is one, and it's not that much different than the G.A.M.E.R Expo. I think we added 2 hours. The one I want to try is KublaCon because it's in San Francisco, and that would be neat for us to check out. Dice Tower West. Now, I've been that one before, but I wouldn't mind going to that one again. But yeah, so I honestly not exactly sure which one it will be, but I want something that's kind of close. Maybe
KublaCon does sound fun.
Maybe we'll do Board Game Geek Spring.
Oh yeah. Or what about Board Game Championships?
The World Series of Board Gaming, even? That would be neat, but that can be sometimes really expensive. Yeah. But it's also Vegas, and I have no issue having fun in Vegas.
Exactly.
All right, and I have to give you a question now, and so what am I going to ask you? Let's see here. What game mechanism do you want to see more in things? Because we have what is called the trick-taking renaissance. Is there a game mechanism you want to see more of in the industry?
Ooh, okay. Yes, but I don't want to say it. That sounds weird.
You got to answer the question. That's the rules.
I want to see more tile laying, honestly.
Well, of course, that's like your favorite mechanism.
That is my favorite mechanism. And I feel like there's a lot of it, and I'm talking non-polyomino tile laying. Like, that one I feel is done to death. But just square tiles or standard shapes that fit together. I haven't seen many of those.
You know who did it pretty darn good, and it's cards, but I really liked how that one did was they just did a Kickstarter for the expansion of it. Stone Spine Architects.
Oh yeah,
Jordi Adnan is a designer that we're really liking a lot of the stuff he's been doing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now
coin.
Let's go. This coin likes me. That's why it's been around. All right. So, what game, if there was a board game or a publisher that we would collab with, to make more content for or to help them with the game, what game or publisher would you want us to be part of? Like, for example, let me explain a little bit more of this. Like how Shut Up and Sit Down works with CMYK a lot.
Yeah. And so my thing is like, I mean, the easy answer for me is Stone.Meyer, just because I like a lot of their stuff. But if I had to like actually go out of my way and like, okay, who do I want to work with and do a lot of their games, I actually want to do something like with a smaller company, something like maybe a Grand Gamers Guild or Burnt Island Games because we could also get like the Kid Table board game kind of stuff too, because they own both of those. Trying to think like other ones, but honestly, because we really love them as people, Fireside Games, I would love to. We already work with them a lot in the process. I buy something, we talk about their games. They don't pay us for anything. No. It's just like
we just love them.
We love them, and so just to work with them in an official capacity, that would be great. Level 99 is another one I would really love working with, because I love Brad Talton and Ithri or Josh. Who designed Bullet. I really love the stuff that they're coming out with.
All the people involved.
Like just these smaller companies that are established. Thing 12 would be a fun one to work with, but we don't know what's going on there. But yeah, like I said, the cheaty answer would be, I would like to work with Stone.Meyer. But honestly, that would actually help us get our name out there too. So if we, with one of those bigger companies, but Fireside, Level 99, those are the big two that I really would love to work with in an official capacity.
Okay.
All right.
I agree with Fireside Games though. Like that, we just really adore them.
What is a theme that you want to see more of in board games?
A theme? I'm now wanting more Wild West.
Right?
Yeah, like there's a dry spell right now for it. I'm always up for nautical.
The fantasy style Wild West, like westerns that we see, like Western Legends, stuff like that. None of this great Western Trail.
Right.
No. With those creepy faces on the cover.
I know. They stare into your soul. No, like I mean that's one of them. But then anything nautical, I'm always up for a nautical theme. I don't feel like it's used that much. I mean, Deep Sea Endeavor, Underwater Cities, sure. Flip Voyage is one of them, right? But like it's only a few and far in between.
We're about to play a Stefan Feld nautical theme, pirates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
we're exploring the sea,
and sea exploring is also one of those too.
Yeah.
But I think like deep sea, like
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I love stuff like that.
So why don't you like Finspan? That's under the sea.
That's having an aquarium, the board game. And for one, for two, I never said I don't like it. It's just like, why would I play it?
I get
personally. But three, what?
I just had to mess with you a little.
That's not Wild West. I don't know what you're talking about.
You just said nautical.
Yeah, exactly. Now imagine a Wild West that was in nautical. Deep sea cowboys. They did in space. Why not?
I mean, Firefly worked really well, so I could see it. I don't know how it would work, but what about Underwater Cities? That's nautical. You're building cities underwater.
It is. I think honestly, like if it was like either that or like, I mean, I don't love the game. I like it just fine.
Yeah,
but it just if it was between that or like a generic medieval town, it's like sure, yeah. Nautical is better than not. But
all right, before you flip the coin, I'm just going to ask the next one. What are you tired of seeing?
Cats. Oh no, no. Lately, trick taking. Trick taking is just. I'm so tired of trick.
The thing is, I don't mind trick taking, but I'm getting tired of the trick taking. But here's some heavy rules. It's like seriously, if you're gonna do trick taking, do it a riff like the zombie princess one or the princess one is basically just hearts, or give me something that's basically just spades, which I think the zombie princess is supposed to be of. Yeah. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel to be something different.
Right.
What is the one we just recently...
Or if you're going to reinvent the wheel, you shoot for the stars.
And that's why I like Origin Stories so much. Right.
Yeah, and see, I liked Origin Stories enough to buy it, right? Yeah. You know, I did enjoy, like, what it does. Even though it's not quite the same, like, I mean, I appreciate Cat in the Box. I do. Because it took out the suits entirely. And that is that's not just like it's a must follow, but you're trying to only win 3 tricks exactly because the second highest score. No. It's like, hey, yeah, you have to just declare the suit and make it up. And it's like, wait, what? That's incredible. And even though like it's not my favorite game, I very much appreciate that fact of it.
Yeah.
It's a totally different concept. Like even like Tricky Kids from Panasonic, I haven't played it yet.
It is okay.
Like I love the idea of that where it's like, oh yeah, you just make up your own numbers and you're going like by the idea.
Yeah,
of, like,
and you just have to
what's more valuable.
You have to put your numbers within the range of 21.
Yeah, exactly. So I love stuff like that. That's really clever. So if you're gonna go trick taking, like go all out. Like even like Little
Fishing
Devils does that.
Little Devils is really cool. Fishing was really fun.
Was cool. Like that was a really cool idea. I got his new trick taking game, Fearless, and like I don't think we're gonna love it anywhere near as much as fishing, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, fishing is one of those that you had me. I was like, okay, I have to buy this one. Yes, it's neat what it does.
That's right. All right, back to the coin.
Yep, back to the. Well, you can ask me your question because I just jumped the coin to ask that.
So, because of the podcast, which game do you think is like the quintessential everyday board game?
Because
like which one is the one that we champion or we discovered or we tout or we feel like what game best represents the podcast?
Truthfully honest, you mentioned there's 2 that I can say that quintessentially is the Everyday Board Games podcast. Well, actually 3 now that I think of it off the top of my head, because we champion it a lot, we talk about it a lot. 1, Concordia, because you showed me and Damn It Dom, we showed Game Head Geek, and we all fell in love with it, and Awakening Realms just did a nice version of it. So most of us backed it, or is doing it, another one is, you mentioned it earlier, was the Dark Tower, Return to Dark Tower. Another one we champion a lot. But the one that I think recently really falls under this category that we champion a lot, we talk about it a lot, we consistently play it, not as a group a lot, but I played it with other groups. We showed this to Damn It Dom's brother, and that's Hot Streak. We just adore what Hot Streak... And it's the right kind of stupid, which is what we always talk about.
Yes, we always love the right kind of stupid.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
What do you think of those choices?
I agree with those. Yeah, I was thinking Return to Dark Tower or even definitely Concordia, right?
Yeah.
I almost think Bonanza. I know.
You and me champion.
I am the champion of that, but
I mean, you, me, and Gamehead Geek all own the version of it. So
yeah. So that could be like if we made a Everyday Board Games Bonanza edition.
I'm trying to think. Like, is there a game that all 4 of us actually own?
Probably.
I'm just trying to think what it would be.
Azul?
I don't own Azul. My wife does not like Azul.
We'll take a look at our collections here in a bit. Yeah, but I bet there is.
That is.
Do we all own a Hot Streak now?
I own it. Bryce owns it. You own it. I don't know if Damn It Dom does.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll look.
Maybe it's like a Phil Walker Harding or something. Ticket to Ride. I have Europe, so I think we all own Ticket to Ride, but a version of it anyways.
Yeah, I have Europe.
You own all the versions.
No, I don't have many of them, actually. Not anymore. Either way. All right, here we go. Next one.
And hence why I jumped that one.
Yep. All right. What has been the best board game discovery since we started the podcast? And that we found because of the podcast.
Board game discovery that we found
because of the podcast.
Recently, for me, is Kokeshi.
Yep.
Because
right above his head.
We played it on Board Game Arena. That was another one. Another one that's right there too. Another recent one, Spooky Tower.
Yeah, and we did find that because of the podcast. Kokeshi was something that we saw because of Grand Gamers Guild.
We did a board game breakdown. Yeah. Spooky Towers, because it was like, hey, let's try this out on Board Game Arena, you and me.
Yeah.
But I would have to say probably the biggest surprise because of this podcast that we found out about this podcast would probably, what would it be? Oh, I know what it is. For me personally, it is because we were doing a thing and it popped up and it's like, wait, this would be my number 1 if I had known this was a thing. And this was Halloween, the Emerson Matsushi Trick or Treat.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because I remember popping it up on the board game thing.
Yes.
And it's like, wait, this is a thing, and I had to start researching and stuff like that. And so and I adore that game. I have both versions. I have Halloween 2 and I have Halloween 1. I haven't played 2 yet. I'm going to try to play it in this October or from like my Halloween games outside of, because I'm kind of happy. I just got the notification Camp Grizzly is on its way for me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So for me, that I would have to say probably Kokeshi, Halloween, and Spooky Tower, like the ones that are fresh on my mind. So
I think the one, and I was thinking like some of the new stuff that we've played. A lot of the Pandasaurus games, like tabletop, box top.
Box top tabletop. Yeah, when we went to Gen Con.
Yeah, that was one because of us.
G.A.M.E.R Expo.
The one that I think like surprised me is you and I got really into Prospero Hall games. So I think Horrified was probably it. And I don't think I'm sure we would have heard of Horrified prior to that. But it was because
come out before the podcast really took off?
I don't remember.
Because I was already into Horrified when I heard about its announcement. I don't know if we were in the podcast or like that, because it's the theme that I love. Right. I love the Universal Monsters. I championed the Universal Monsters. In fact, it's still my favorite Horrified.
Well, pretty much anything that we've seen from Prospero Hall, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Rear Window.
Yeah. Prospero Hall is probably a podcast thing, but like Horrified was something I've always endured. Another one just popped in my head. We don't really champion it, but it was a nice little surprise. You and me did the same thing for this specific game, and this is Seaside. I played it on the cruise. You played it on the beach in the same year.
That's true. I probably would not have bought it or even heard about it at the podcast had it not been.
We played it at the G.A.M.E.R Expo. We showcased it, and you're like, "I'm going to California. I'm going to play this on the beach."
That's right.
And I'm like, "I'm taking it with me on the cruise." So,
that's awesome. Okay, cool.
That's to me, right?
Yep. How many more you got?
I got a couple more. I'm just trying to see which one I want.
I have one more after this.
So I could do I could do this one and the one after. So and these kind of tie to each other.
Okay.
Where do you see the podcast evolving in the next couple years?
Okay. I can imagine at least 2 more new segments in the next few years.
Okay.
We're already kind of doing bonus episodes and we started doing reviews and stuff, right? And we've also done some other stuff where we're now doing out to
live playthroughs and stuff like that.
We're doing live playthroughs. I can imagine we start doing like a legitimate like segment episode that we start doing at least 1 more, maybe even 2 more. I've always been a champion of like the game show kind of episodes.
Oh,
I know we normally do those as bonus ones,
like
but I would love for us to create our own game that we can play actively, or modify a game that's like really fun, and then just tie it in and have us play it for the episodes and be able to have player interaction. I would love to do more stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And more giveaways.
Yeah. All right. So our last questions, I guess.
All right. Here we go.
That's why
my question is, why do you like this coin so much? No. All right. So if you had to go a full-time career into board gaming outside of the podcast, but it was like, hey, here's a job that has to do with board gaming somehow in some capacity, what would be your dream job?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Well, I know for you, but
mine's obvious, right?
Yeah.
Mine's the game design.
Yeah,
I would love to do that.
I'm just trying to think like what would be the best option for me, and honestly, running a game store is probably what I think would be the best bet for me. Is like having the board games. Doing like I've always talked about wanting to try to do like a board game cafe style thing where I can have coffee, I can have like little sweet treats for people, be more like diabetic or lower carb friendly kind of thing. Game Vault is one of the things I strive to, something like that if I had to do a choice. The other thing is honestly this is the podcasting and talking about board games, and if I get a good pay for it, I think I would enjoy it. Something like the Dice Tower is actually a really good thing, because I have no problem talking about board games, but I'm not a creative person. I can't draw, I can't design very well, but I can talk about board games, and I have no problem doing it. So either that or like a board game cafe kind of thing.
Very good.
I know your answer is pretty simple. It's design, yeah.
Yep, design.
All right, so my last question is, and this is not about the podcast in a sense. This is just about your thoughts as a designer and a podcast person. And I have one more question after this, but this more of
follow up?
Not a follow up to this, but just in general.
Okay.
Where do you see the industry in the next couple years?
Ooh.
Because there's a lot of things crashing. There's a lot of big companies that are on the cusp of maybe leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at CMON selling a lot of their stuff. Do you see it's trending more to heavier games? Do you see more card games coming out more? Where do you see the industry in the next couple of years?
I am very optimistic. I feel like in the next couple years, probably 2 or 3 years from now, that I'm hoping we're gonna have just like a sudden influx. It's gonna be like the 80s where everybody has way too much money. And I'm hoping for that. Like I think that would be incredible because luxury hobbies like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't cheap for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
But this is something that a lot of people like really enjoy doing. I think there's going to be a new level of like mass markety style games.
Yeah, I mean,
and not even mass market style games.
Mass market hobby style.
A lot of the games that we love will start making their way into the mass market. I really feel strongly about that. And I think a lot of people would be like it blew my mind where like 5 years ago, one of my wife's work friends, they had like, the standard like a closet where the top shelf is just like about a dozen games.
Yeah.
And they had Ticket to Ride. And I love that. I was like, that was never something I would have considered as a hobby or a mass market game, but it is now, right?
Yeah.
And Catan, like that's a mass market game. And so I want to see more of those like permeate the mass market outside of gaming. I want to see more of that. And I'm hoping in a couple of years, like finances of the world will start settling and and people will start having more spending money and then being able to make these companies that are making good quality, fun games back to the roots of just like we're making games for fun.
Look at Hot Streak and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of want the industry to go more into that kind of toy factor
absolutely.
aspect of it.
And I think a lot of it is right now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are stepping back from the really, really specific, unique games.
Other than like Vito Lacerda
Sure.
and what is his name? The one that did Barcelona. I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Oh, Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia.
Yeah. And there's always going to be those designers, right? Like Shane Phillips and like Stefan Felds, all those. But I very strongly see like right now, companies are trying to stay afloat by making impulse games. Like they're trying to make small, quick, easy. Like they're not massive profit margins, but they're consistent.
Yeah,
and they're easy to sell. A deck of cards for $10.
That's why I think Happy Camper does it well. Is that they give us good games, but they're at a small price point.
Yep, absolutely. And I would love to see Happy Camper be that successful. Yeah. So.
The last thing I want to talk about before we close this one out, because this has been a fun episode. It's going to be a little longer than we were expecting. But is there, because we just recently did, earlier this year, a podcast with So Very Wrong About Games, where they had us on. Is there a podcast that you would want to work with?
Oh, man.
Whether we go on theirs or having them on ours, that kind of thing. One, it's going to help us grow. I know there's a
let's just name like some of the ones like Blue Peg Pink Peg.
Yeah.
I'm already friends with one of them. Great people. Jeez, yeah. Like, take our pick. I want to do an episode with Tabletop Bellhop. I really do. We've never done an actual episode.
And that's the thing. We've made a lot of good friends in the industry as well, not just designers. We had a blast hanging out with Tabletop Bellhop and Deanna Mo Tusino and Deanna, his wife.
Wonderful people.
Deanna runs like most of the online stuff, and so it was actually a great time hanging out with them at the Gamma Expo a couple years back. So,
absolutely. And So Very Wrong About Games was super fun.
That was a great time too, and it was a nice little spike. But I just had a blast. Like I said, I can talk about board games, and I enjoy talking about board games.
I think like. For YouTube personalities, there is a channel that there's two YouTube personalities I would love to do something with, and that's the Brothers Murph.
I was gonna say yours is probably the Brothers Murph.
I wanna meet them. I wanna chat with them because they're just fun people.
There's one person.
Ruel is pretty cool too.
There's two people that I want to pick their brains on when it comes to like board game and stuff. Z Garcia from the Dice Tower.
Oh sure.
I've talked with him before when we did Dice Tower West, and he is by far one of the funniest people I've ever met. He's got that quick wit, dry humor.
He does.
It is fantastic. And so that little brief, and this is before the podcast, I had a blast. I would love to work with, see if he would want to do like a podcast or something like that with us. That would be neat. The other one is, just because I want to pick his brain, it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the board gaming aspect of it, is Will Wheaton. Because dude, it helped grow the tabletop experience because of tabletop on the YouTube side of things, as well as Geek and Sundry. He helped grow that as well. Anything nerdy. So that is such a great aspect, and I would love to just pick his brain. He doesn't even have to be on the podcast, just to talk board games with this man, because that would be interesting. Like, podcast wise, Tabletop Bellhop was one that I would like to do something with them.
Content creator, I would also like to do something with Matthew Dunstan, because he does a lot of content creation. But that's more design focused, which I like.
I would love to do something with like Quinn from Shut Up and Sit Down.
Just anything from him.
Because he's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Another one, Rado. Rado would be something really cool to do stuff, because he would be a fun one to talk with.
Yeah, I've only ever... I look up to that man because he's about 2 feet taller than me.
I've actually met him and like, whoa.
Like, there was one
He's
time...
like, what, 6'8"?
Something like that. There was one time at a Gamma Expo where him and Eric Lang were both talking, and they were walking opposite of me, and they both went around me to, like, keep talking. Like, I didn't have to duck or nothing. I was like, all right, guys. All right, here we go.
Yeah, so these are like just some of the people that I would like to.
I would love to.
Rado would be a good one. And, Z Garcia, like I said. The Brothers Murph would be cool, just because they're hilarious, too.
Yeah.
Their shenanigans.
Although I've had a fun time talking with Tom Vassell, personally.
I've never had a problem talking with Tom Vassell. I've talked to him twice. I know there's game stores that don't care for him. But,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoyed my time talking with him. Trying to think like if there's any others off the top of my head that I would like. This is kind of a nitpicky one, not a nitpicky one, but he used to be on Noel World's Bard, I think it's what it was called. He has his own thing called Blamco. His name is Adam Blampia, I think his name is. He's a big Unmatched fan, so he did a whole retrospective on Unmatched. So I was like, I would really want to pick his brain on this. You've seen him before,
probably,
because you thrown some YouTube channels my way, and I'm like, I know, I watch his stuff all the time. Because he talks about tabletop stuff, but he also talks wrestling stuff. So when he's talking about tabletop is when I really pay attention. I was like, okay, I know wrestling. I used to watch it back in the day, and every time we go like on a vacation or like a con or something like that, if it's on, we'll throw it on in the background just to laugh, because like that is such shenanigans.
Yeah, it is kind of yours or mine like show to watch.
Yeah, it's like just because it makes us laugh.
I don't know why. Like that's our go-to. It's like we're in a hotel.
There's wrestling. There's wrestling on right now. So yeah, I don't know why we do it, but it's funny. But just stuff like that. But this has been a fun one, a nice retrospective. Over 100 Chits and Giggles episodes. Let that sink in.
That's ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
We want to send our just absolute heartfelt thanks to everybody who listens to our episodes.
Yes.
We can't thank you guys enough. We talk about games way too much. We love the interactivity.
We play a lot of games. Our wives give us grief about all the games that we play.
Do. This hobby has been wonderful. It still is, and it's going to continue to be. And like we wouldn't be doing this if even just like a handful of people. And like shout out to Illuminous, right? Yeah, Illuminous has been with us for years, and one of our regulars, and it's just always a pleasure. Mm-hmm. I know we don't always like shout out like during the episode because I'm trying not to be distracted too badly while we're talking, but then like some of our common people, let's give some shout outs real quick. Very wrong about game, Masmos, Creative Chaos, I3 as well, Adam the Fanatic,
there you
go, he's been a regular with us. There's just a plethora.
Sora's another one. I can't remember the full tag, but Sora's been another one.
Tabletop Bellhop, he was an early discoverer of us. Just all sorts of stuff, and again, if we forgot you, it's not because we're forgetting. We're just trying to throw names out of the top of our head, and we probably talked very, very, very quickly. Our brains are fried right now.
That's after like doing a 3-hour recording of 2 games.
So whether we said your name or not, know that we appreciate you.
All our new listeners that popped up because of the interview was so very wrong about game. Just the people we're going to meet at Gen Con. We appreciate every one of you.
Yes.
We do this for fun. This is not something that we expect to make
This is our
money
hobby
out
of hobby.
Yeah, this is the hobby within the hobby.
Yep.
But this is just something we enjoy doing. We love talking about board games. You do a lot in the board gaming world as well. You teach them, you make them. So I just play them and talk about them.
Yeah. And here's to the next 100. Yeah. And maybe we'll do a special episode on it's our 500th episode or something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
We got to keep track of how
we do have the top 8 debate, top 100.
Yeah, which I think will be December. And we're coming up with an idea for that one.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you ever want to email us directly at email.com. everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com. Whether that's to enter and feature contests.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Whether that's to enter in future contests, give us ideas for future upcoming episodes, or just reach out and say hello. Also, Instagram.com/everydayboardgames. Make sure you follow us there to see the games that Daniel and I have been playing together recently, as well as the shenanigans that we tend to post. And finally, we have Discord. Link is down in the description wherever you listen to this.
All video re-uploads and reviews and game playthroughs now are found on YouTube under youtube.com/@everydayboardgames. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject.
We also stream our episodes live at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Make sure you follow us there so you're notified when we start streaming live, and you can join in on the conversation.
And all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Apple.
So as always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board games.
Here's another 100.